welcome. I'm Janet, and this is Purl Together. And in this week's technique video, I want to show you why I like the cable cast on for a stretchy purpose, like the top of a sock, or in this particular instance, I'm using it to make the cuff of a fingerless mitt. It would be good for a hat brim, anything where you need a little extra stretch. And I'll explain why when we get into we switch over and I show you exactly how to knit the cable cast on. Before we get started though, I want to give a big public thank you and a shout out to several new patrons who have joined the Purl Together patron family in the last couple of weeks. So thank you for supporting the channel. I couldn't keep bringing you videos without all of your help. If you're interested in becoming a patron, you can see what I'm offering for a small monthly pledge over at patreon.com/Purl Together. So a big thank you to Victoria, Lori, Carrie, Marie, Tanya, Alice, and Donna. Thanks so much. So when you become a patron, you get invited to the patron Facebook group. You get patron-only exclusive videos. I'm trying to get better about being more regular about putting those out. You get discounts on all the events and classes that we do. There's several things going on. You also get to vote on the knit-alongs. So our next knit-along is going to be these fingerless mitts, and I'll show you more about that in another video coming up shortly. But today is all about the cable cast on and why I'm choosing that cast on instead of the twisted German cast on. Truthfully, I'm not very skilled with the twisted German cast on. Most people, when they knit the long tail cast on, they just use one hand and they make that like triangle slingshot kind of a thing. And I do that too, but then I have the other strand and I wrap it like, I do it with two hands. So it's awkward to me. That's just how I learned, and you can check that out of my long tail cast on video. But to do the German twisted German cast on, also called the old Norwegian cast on, you have to do this other little funky maneuver, and it's just really awkward. But there's a couple reasons why I prefer the cabled cast on, and that's because you can adjust the stretchiness by adjusting the size of the right hand needle or the working needle. You'll see what I mean. So let's go ahead and get to it. All right, when we start this cable cast on, I just use a little slip knot. So when I make a slip knot, if you're not familiar how to do that, I just go with my right hand and I put the tail end over my index finger, and then I just turn my hand over like that. And then I take this yarn from the working yarn and I go up underneath and through. There you go. Most people know how to make a slip knot, but there's a little quick tutorial if you don't. Okay, so now I'm just going to put this on my needle and snug it up. Not super tight, just a little bit. All right, so now we have our slip knot, and it's pretty loose because what I'm going to do is hang on to the tail with your left hand. I usually just use my middle finger and my thumb to kind of hang on to that for a moment. And you're going to go into the slip knot and just do a regular knit stitch and pull that through. So that's pretty simple, but we're going to pull this out a little bit. We want it to be a little bit big because you're going to twist it by taking your right hand needle around, point it away from you, and then take your left needle and tuck it under there. And that's how we're going to put that stitch back on the left hand needle. Don't worry, I'll show you that a couple more times. Now what we want to do is go in between those stitches. And we're going to use this needle, this right hand needle, as a spacer. So it's not doing anything except controlling the size of the loop that you pull through. And that's really not even happening because you're stretching that out. You're pulling that long. But it is controlling the amount of space between these two stitches. And that's what's going to make your cast on a little more stretchy. So if you need to use a bigger size needle than the left one, then do that. That's totally fine. So you're going to you're taking your right hand needle, going in between the space in between the stitches, not into the stitch here, but in between. Okay, so go between the stitches, wrap counterclockwise as if to knit, and pull the stitch through between the space. And now again, you're going to pull that out a little bit more. Take your right hand needle, twisting that stitch and pointing the needle away from you, and then tuck your left needle under the front of that. And that's how we're going to put it back on. Okay, and then before we pull it tight, put the right needle in the space before you snug that up. And you don't want to snug it up. You need to keep everything pretty loose, like not to the point of being sloppy, but not tense at all, not tight at all. So again, you're going to wrap that as if to knit, pull it through, pull the loop out, point that right needle away from you, and then tuck the left one underneath there. Okay, take the right needle out and put it in the space before you pull any slack out of that loop. So a little bit faster this time, knit into that space. There you go. Okay, so again, put your needle back through into the space, wrap, pull the loop through, pull it as much as you need to, and these are loose enough I can slide them easily. And then I'm going to put that needle back on into the space. Okay, and it goes pretty quick. You'll get yourself in a little bit of a rhythm. And you'll notice I pulled the slack out of this loop only after I got my spacer needle in there. Only after I inserted that back into the gap, because that's my spacer. The right hand needle determines the space between your stitches. So I hope that makes sense. I wanted to show you this. We're getting ready to start our fingerless mitt knit along, and I'll put the details and the pattern for that below in the video description, so watch for that. I'll be coming out with a video with the details of that shortly. So once you get into a rhythm, you can kind of see how I'm pulling my right hand needle out and going right back into the space before I take any slack out of that. So again, if you need to have a little more stretch, you might want to go up a needle size here, or just be mindful to keep everything relaxed. Okay, there you go. I hope that helps. You'll just do that as many stitches as you need to. Okay, I hope you found that helpful. I'm moving right along with the cuff of my mitt, and so I'll show you more about that later. So yeah, I like this cast on because there's not any flare, right? It's not going whoop and out, but it's still really stretchy. I mean, I've only cast on the number of stitches for the medium size of this mitt, and I have big hands, but it's still stretchy enough that I can get it on. Okay, so this is going to work out just fine. Even though I'm not making these for me, I'm just showing you how stretchy this cast on really is. So I'm digging it. Okay, so I hope you found that helpful, and I'll see you next time.